Yeah, so I called the UFC when Bilal had a pager on his foot and he backed out because I guess the pager exploded on his ankle and messed up his toe, which is just weird. You guys need to ask Bilal, why is he wearing pagers around his ankle? It's just weird. But so he pulled out of the fight. So I called the UFC and volunteered. I wanted to fight Shavkat. That was the fight I wanted. You know, I think he's all hype. He hasn't fought anybody of my level, an elite fighter in a 5-round fight. So I was excited to fight Shavkat. But the UFC had already had other plans that said, hey, we're going to do the other fight with the cuck, Ian Garry. So, you know, they wanted to do that fight. But they're like, hey, but we need to fill this main event with Joaquin Buckley at Tampa. You know, he's not a star. He's a bum. He's a nobody. So we need someone to sell this show. Can you be a company man? Come do it. I said, absolutely, Hunter Campbell. Whatever you need, man. I'm a company man. I love this company. God bless the UFC. God bless America. But what a great opportunity to fight my home state and defend home turf in Tampa, Florida. You know, 3 hours up the road from where I live in Miami, Florida. So, you know, it's just a beautiful opportunity. I'm excited to be here. Thank you, UFC.
Joaquin says that you guys have met before, and there was a time actually before your fight with Usman, the first fight, that he asked to train with you, and you sort of the rounds never came to fruition. So he says you actually have a somewhat of a relationship from back then. Do you remember those days when you were training together?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I offered him to train. He'd come train in strength and conditioning class with me. I'm like, hey, come jump in conditioning class with me, man. I got no issues with you. You know, he wasn't in the same division at the time. He was at 185. So, you know, I told him, hey, come on up, you know, do some conditioning. And, you know, I have no problem or beef against the guy. So, yeah, we trained together. Nothing wrong with that.
Feels like a rare occurrence for you these days, not having beef with the guy you're about to fight. It must be quite refreshing for you.
Yeah, you know, he's a young up-and-coming hungry guy. He hasn't been on my radar. I never expected to cross paths with this guy. You know, I expect to cross fights with the biggest and best names in the sport. You know, the world champions, the big guys, not up-and-coming hungry guys like him, younger guys. So, you know, it is refreshing. You know, I have no ill will towards him, but Saturday night, you know, I'm definitely going to have to take his win streak. You know, people have been trying to trash my name for too long when I fought the best fighters in the world for, you know, 8-10 years straight. So this is my opportunity to come out, beat a young, hungry, up-and-comer that's on a long 5-fight win streak and, you know, has a lot of hype behind his name and, you know, explosive hands. So it's an opportunity to bring him to the deep waters in the main event spotlight and show the world that I'm still the best welterweight on planet Earth.
You did mention them before. Ian and Shavkat did fight last week. I'd be curious to get your take on how they both performed. And, you know, Ian wasn't very nice about you in the lead up to that fight. Said you'd never fight him, etc. I wondered if you have any response for him as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's a cuck. He sits in the corner while his wife gets dogged out by the nutritionist. Isn't that just weird? Like, I don't know why more people don't, you know, talk about that. It's just disgusting. That he brings the last name of your wife's ex-husband. It's just fucking strange. And you know, my thing is hey, he does nothing for my career. What does he do for me? He's an absolute nobody who's beaten nobody. So I told him, hey, if you want this fight, just answer the 3 stipulations. Turn on your comments. Your wife wants to be so famous so bad. She's quoting Shakespeare, which is just weird in itself. And we know how much weird shit goes on in Shakespeare about fucking cousins, fucking family, all the weird shit they do. But hey, you want to be famous, make a video begging for the fight. And then if you really think you're going to beat me, Ian, agree that if you lose the fight, your wife has to be in my video for BC Game, and we do an America's Pick of the Week for the people. He couldn't, he couldn't answer, and he couldn't meet the stipulations, so there's no reason for me to fight him. He's a bum. I mean, the fight's never been offered, but I can tell you one thing. I have the power to make fights happen. I can go to Hunter Campbell. I can go to Dana White and be like, hey, Dana, hey, Hunter, I want this fight. This is the fight I want. This is the fight that makes sense. This is what the people want. But he couldn't make those 3 stipulations happen, so I don't have time for him. He's irrelevant. He's a nothing. He does nothing for my career. Beating him will do nothing. So, you know, here we are against Joaquin Buckley, and Saturday night's going to be explosive.
You don't think at one point you'll fight Ian Garry?
You know, if he meets those stipulations, you know, all he has to do is turn his comments on. Like, why is he so sensitive with the fans? All he has to do is have his wife make a video. She loves making videos. She's making videos to Sean Strickland, trying to quote Shakespeare like she's so smart and this and that. She loves to put herself in the limelight and act like she's a part of the business. So, and then if he's so confident, you know, like, let's put a risk on the table, you know. If you lose, she's got to do a video with me for my new sponsor, BC Game. Otherwise, I don't have time. It's just a waste of my time. He's a fucking cuck. I don't want to fucking go with a cuck. Who knows where his hands and his fucking whole body, what type of fluids are on him and shit. Like, it's just disgusting.
And on the other side of that, what'd you think of Shavkat, like, as far as his performance, and now looks like he's going to fight Bilal Muhammad. So what did you think of his performance, and what chances do you give him against Bilal?
I didn't watch the fight. I was too busy, doing some other things, doing some streaming on my new Twitch for BC Game. Shout out to all my fans out there on Twitch that were live streaming, watching me right now. Got a lot of love for them. I got bigger things to do than watch these up-and-coming nobodies that haven't accomplished anything in this sport. They have no merit. They haven't been in title fights like me. They haven't won world titles like I have. So, I heard it was boring. I heard his stock went down, and he got exposed. He was all hype. He's got all finishes against all nobodies. He beat the busboy from Outback, the Outback Steakhouse that serves bloomin' onions. Like, how prestigious is that? So, that's why I volunteered to fight him. I volunteered to fight him on 3 weeks' notice. I called Hunter. I wanted that fight. But instead, I got pushed into this fight. Not pushed into it. I'm happy to come and save the day for the company. I love this company. I'm a company man. Love the UFC. It's such an honor to fight here. And, this is the true excitement in my life when I get to come fight for the UFC.
And what do you think is at stake in this fight against Buckley? He says that he's going to go out there and pull off a knockout of the year, finish you, and then leapfrog Shavkat. Do you feel like sort of the same thing is for you? Like, if you do something spectacular on Saturday, maybe we're talking about you in a title contention?
Yeah, absolutely. My name's always in title contention. I'm the biggest name in the sport. There's no stars in this division. It's a bunch of bums, a bunch of fucking guys that have about as much charisma as the wet mop in the corner. So, I'm the superstar in this division. I call the shots. I am the champion. Everybody knows I'm the king of Miami. So I think after Saturday night when I convincingly beat Buckley, I'm next in line for the title.
Buckley says that he thinks that you took this fight because it's the last fight on your contract, and it just kind of worked out that way. What's, I guess, your standing with the UFC as of now?
Yeah, that's fake news. Before my last fight, I signed a new 5-6 fight contract. I'm a lifetime UFC fighter. I'm not going anywhere, and I never will. Even if it was the last fight, I would never leave. Like, I'm staying here in the UFC. I love the UFC. They've done such good business for me. They brought a kid from a small town in Oregon that had nothing, a blue collar family, a suburb area where I came from, into a multi-million-dollar athlete. So, I'm super thankful to the UFC, grateful, and I'll be here forever. I'm not ever going to entertain another organization or going and doing these gimmick fights. I'm not about that. It's not about the money anymore. It's about honor. It's about respect and paying respect to the company that gave me everything. So, UFC, I'm a lifetime UFC fighter.
Been kind of talking about how there's still no love for Kamaru Usman. You called him a cheater. You called him a coward. Is there ever going to be a trilogy fight somewhere down the line?
I hope so. I really want that trilogy fight. There's definitely unfinished business there. I mean, every single fan when we walked out of Madison Square Garden the second fight knew I won that fight. They said, hey, how did you not get your hand raised? Like, they were all just like in shock and disbelief. He won one round. The second round was his round. Okay, you got one round. It's a 5-round fight. So, I know I'm better than Kamaru Usman. Like, the first fight we fought, with the food poisoning going in and the bad reffing. I was fighting 2-on-1 that night. Mark Not So God was stopping. I kicked him in the liver. The guy was done. He literally caught him in the liver. His organs were shutting down, and everybody knows when you get hit in the body shot in the liver, it'll shut your body down. And it doesn't matter how tough you are mentally, you will shut down. He was ready to shut down. They gave him a 5-minute break. And then these pushing me, Mark's pushing me like, oh, calm down, Colby, calm down, grabbing me, taking my energy away, like, completely took my focus out of the fight, that first fight. But the second fight I won. The trilogy fight needs to happen for sure. If he leaves and we never get to fight that trilogy, then I'll have that over him. Then he didn't want to fight me, and I was a better fighter than him. So I hope it happens. I think that's a fight that needs to happen.
Recently, you've verbally attacked Khamzat Chimaev, but if we abstract from his personality and life outside the cage, what can you say about him as a MMA fighter?
Dude, he's an absolute scumbag. The fact that he rug pulled all his fans, that's the most disgusting act I've seen in the MMA ever. Him and Khabib, like, just absolute scammers. Like, dude, you're making enough good money with the UFC. Now you're going to rug pull and do a fake mem coin and scam all your fans for millions of dollars? I mean, these are fans that are working their asses off every day at McDonald's or low income paying jobs, and they're investing in them because they trust the fighter and they like the fighter, and for him to just shit on all his fans like that, it's disgusting. I mean, that's why he's cum shot, the guy's literally fucking, just the worst person on earth. It's so sad that he did that to his fans. So, as an MMA fighter, I don't think he's anything special. I think that he got exposed in that Gilbert Burns fight, that he doesn't have good cardio. I thought Usman beat him. When they fought, if that would have been 5 rounds, Usman would have beat him for sure. But I thought Usman beat him 2-1. So I don't see anything special out of Chimaev. He needs to stop fucking scamming his fans.
Hello, Colby. I want to know, what is your opinion about Ilia Topuria as a fighter?
Yeah, he's a great fighter, man. He's knocking people out. He's exciting. He's fun to watch. I think he's a great young hungry guy, and he's a dangerous guy. I don't think anybody's gonna beat him in that featherweight division. So, shout out to Ilia. He's been doing great, and great branding and great gimmick and character that he has. Coming from his country, and just a great fighter overall.
Colby, I know you and Jon Jones have had quite a history. What did you think of his performance and him leaving New York with the heavyweight title?
Yeah, man, Jon has some fruity tendencies. I think the media needs to look into some of the fruity things that he does. It's very strange. But I can't tell you, I know that he has been with some women, because I remember in college, he always used to get the fattest girls in the school. I'm talking 300 pounds plus. And he knows deep down inside, this is not a joke. He knows deep down inside, I know his dark hidden secrets that are in his closet. So he's been with some of the just fattest, just 300 pound slobs. It's disgusting. I mean, dude, Jon Jones is an absolute fucking disgrace to this earth. He's a fucking joke. I mean, yeah, you beat Stipe. Stipe, respect to Stipe first off, because he's a first responder, and he puts his life on the line for the people and for his community. So shout out to Stipe. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time, but he was past his time. He shouldn't even have been there, man. He knows he was old, and he was just showing up for a paycheck. That's not the Stipe of old. That was in his prime anymore. So. I don't think anything special that performance. I think Jon needs to stop ducking Tom Aspinall, just like he ducked Nagano. He ducked Nagano for years. Now he's ducking Aspinall. So he doesn't want to fight the guys he knows he's getting his ass whooped against. So I don't think anything special to Jon Jones. He's a fucking coward. He's a cheat, and he's a woman. He needs to stop being and living in Las Vegas hotel rooms.